Tanya.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So Aaron, what have you learned?
I've learned a lot. It's been a great afternoon. I've learned the fact that not all dogs can be guide dogs. That certain guide dogs don't just get given to a blind person or impartially blind person. They have to be matched up, so the characteristics have to be right, which I think, looking at it, is the proper way to do it. But you have to have a connection with the dog. You've got to be able to trust the dog. But yeah, it's been amazing to see 3 different types of dog. One who's been with his owner for 6 to 8 years, one who's just getting paired with an owner, and one who's starting out on their journey, and did a bit of training with them and
Did it well?
learn a few tricks, yeah. And just little bits of knowing how to call the dog back and holding your hand out to the side, because obviously when you're impaired vision, you don't know where the dog is, so if it comes right to your feet, it could be a difficult thing if you then start to stand forward and you can trip over. So all these little things I would never even have took into my imagination, really.
Seeing the training firsthand is incredible, isn't it? And then learning the difference it makes to a visually impaired football supporter.
Absolutely. So obviously we had Colin, who is an Arsenal fan, and he's been to a few games whilst since he lost his sight, and there's different ways of doing it. And I've seen videos before where a blind person's been and he's been with his friend, and his friend's telling him what's going on, or they've got the commentary in their ear. But
yeah, there is a bit more than that now, isn't there? There's the
audio, and it's almost like you go to. It's like when you go to the cricket and you've got the commentary on, and I think it's a great way. It's a great way of including everyone. And for Colin, he was saying how much it changed his life, and he was saying it's a cliche, but it has. It's allowed him to go out again and
to keep being an Arsenal fan.
Keep being an Arsenal fan, and keep being a football fan, but keep being himself as well. He was saying, because you can lose your way a little bit and feel sorry for yourself, but half of the guide dog is giving him his life back, basically.
And you've got your whistle, and you've got your liver pace.
I've got my whistle, yeah. I kept my whistle. So I'll try it on my own dog, but he's so stubborn and he's set in his ways. He'll do the bare minimum of coming back when I tell him to, and he'll sit, and that's about it. So we'll see what this goes like.
So that mastery we saw of you with the guide dogs, that doesn't translate to back home?
That was all dog.
That was all dog, no trainer.
All dog.
Okay.
That was nothing to do with me. That just shows how well trained they are and what a special job they do, yeah.
Tell us a bit about your dog. What have you got?
I got a Chow Chow. He's 2 years old.
And he runs the house?
He sleeps in the house, that's about it. He sleeps 3/4 of the day. He runs the house when I'm not there. Takes liberties over my missus.
Right.
Takes her for walks. And then we'll sit down halfway through the walk and refuse to move. But for me, he's a lot better, but he just knows who's in charge.
Okay, right, fair enough. I just wonder, for a bit more of a serious question, what difference does a dog make to you? You have a bad day, maybe like you had at West Ham. Dog doesn't know the score, doesn't care. You walk back through the door. Big lift to have another being like that can kind of take you away from the game.
Absolutely. I've been in positions worse than the one I'm in now, and
worse than top of the league.
Yes, and having to think about a draw away at West Ham as a bad thing. So I think my perspective's a little different, but like you say, when you've got this creature, this animal, when you walk in the door with a big tongue hanging out the mouth and their tails wagging, they don't care. They just want to see their owner. And he came bounding over yesterday. We had a quick cuddle.
So straight you got in from West Ham.
Yeah, he got all excited and he went off outside, and then it was just back to normal. And my missus is very good at that as well. She's not really a football fan. She knows when not to speak to me about it, because again, she isn't the most clued on about it. But so it's great to have that difference when you get home, but especially with the dog, even yesterday, if my missus wouldn't have took him on a walk, I probably would have walked him after the game, and just out in the fresh air. You're not thinking about football or anything.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, whether it's good or bad, actually, you are obviously in a big pressure environment, a very public job. Just having something you can do, something you can do it with that doesn't care, must be really important.
Yes, it helps so much. We've got a little group at football, so me, Rob Holding and Kieran Teeney have done a few dog walks, which is great. Hardly speak about football when we go on these long walks. But even just myself, walking, if it's either a street walk or it's a park or a field, you don't think about much. You're just out in the
everyone
open.
needs that, right?
Yeah.
A way to not think about football.
Yeah, and if that's either through a dog or through golf or through different hobbies, through work, if you go into, I don't know, I think a few of our lads have done like university courses, so everyone needs something different, and for me, mine is my dog Blue and the golf course, really.
So, how are you finding the title race? Like you say, you've been in a lot worse situations.
I'm finding it intriguing. Obviously, my first time in the situation. Completely different pressure than the ones I've faced before.
Right. Better, worse?
More enjoyable pressure.
Okay.
You don't. I don't personally feel the strain as much as when you're down the other end. But it's been amazing. The enjoyment we've given to people so far this season, the way we've played, the games we've been involved in, and where we are as a team in front of this Man City team who are still one of the best teams in the world. Contrary to what people have said about they've had an off season, if we weren't there this season, then they would be topped by 5 or 6 points. So we have a huge credit to ourselves. But yeah, it's in our hands. We've had especially the West Ham game, felt like 2 drop points from the position we were in. But now it's just even more clear. We've got to win our games, and then it's up to us. If we don't, then we've only got ourselves to blame.
How easy, I mean, you just summed up, you've just been through a big list of positive things about this season, all true, all correct. Is it easy, or is it hard to keep that sort of positivity when the outside world's going mad?
As a group, no. Maybe as an individual, if you listen to the noise too much. Again, through my experiences at the other end, I learned very quickly to not listen to too much rubbish because it can eat you up, especially at the other end.
Is that something you talk about? Do you say that to other lads, having been in
these? It's something I tried to speak to Bakayo and Emil about last year. So when we missed out on top 4, and the pressure of the football club, they felt like it was on their shoulders, which it kind of was, because they were the number 7, number 10 from the academy. And we missed out on top 4, and they were devastated. And I just said, let's strip it back. The season before, we finished 8th. Yeah. You've come into the team, 2 of the best players in the team, you've carried the team this season, you've come to 5th. So take the positives. Yeah. So it's something which I try and do, but I have to be kind of careful as well, because I don't want to spin it in a negative way too many times. I've been here, and we're now fighting for here. So the group as a whole is very positive. The manager's super positive, and he knows what we've got inside us as a team, and he just wants us to give our best. And for the main part of the season, we've done that. Even some of the games we've lost, we've given our best. But probably against West Ham, we stopped doing that after the second goal, really.
How do you sift out the rubbish from the stuff that is worth listening to? Is it just who it's coming from?
Know who it's coming from, yeah. Right. That was what I took from it. So even now, every now and then when you have a good game and you're getting praised from Match of the Day or ex-pundits, and of course it's nice to hear, and I watch Match of the Day, win, lose, draw, whichever team. So
and Sky, right?
And Sky,
no,
and BT and everyone else. But,
so is that a good point? So Liverpool, some amazing saves to earn your team a point. West Ham, maybe not quite so good, but actually, don't listen to the pundits after Liverpool, and don't listen to them after West Ham either.
No. So we listened to the manager after the game after Liverpool. Of course, there was things we needed to do better. 2-0 away from home, but it is Anfield, so it's a difficult one. But we knew we could play better in the second half. The West Ham one was a complete different. We just stopped playing at all. Credit to them, they got back in the game by doing what they do best, and in the end, it felt like a 2 points dropped against West Ham, but a good point against Liverpool. So when you hear these things on the outside, but when the manager tells you one thing, that's the thing which you have to hold on to and grab. And we've done that all season, and we've done that all last year, because the disappointment at the end of last year, he spun it into a positive for us players as well. So it's just all about the right people to listen to at the right times, really.
Is it? I mean, again, I'm mindful of what you said in your first answer. It was only a 2-2 draw at West Ham. It wasn't a big defeat or anything like that. But is it knowing which bits of that to analyse? I mean, for example, would you have a big inquest? You know, you shouldn't have done that. You should have scored this, or is it more you forget all that and focus on the positives?
No. So we obviously straight after the game, emotions are high, and things can either be said or not said. And then today we've been in this morning. The manager's gone through his debrief. Again, started with the things we didn't do so well on, and he makes sure that everyone knows in the squad it's not an individual. So if it's one clip of me giving the ball away, he's not trying to dig me out, and we know that because we know what he's like. But he always spins it, and the end is always on a positive, and he'll show what we did do well and how we got 2 goals up and how we were cruising. So it's not necessarily a massive inquest, especially after the games. I think the boss likes to take his time, watch the game back, and show us pictures and movements on the screen rather than from what he's just watched one time over.
So do you stand here now after a night's sleep under your belt, feeling really positive again,
yeah,
even if you didn't last night?
Yeah, I stand here now excited as anything to go into the game on Friday. Like I have been all season, no matter when we've been winning or we've drawn or lost. But something special is happening with this group, and if it comes on the 28th of May or it comes next season, we're starting something. So yeah, I'm more than positive. It's another day in life as well, which I'm healthy and happy, and my family are healthy and happy. So football is a really small part of people's lives. It feels like the biggest thing ever, but in theory, it's the smallest part. So yeah, Friday can't come quick enough for me, and neither can the seven remaining games.
You've got me going.
Yeah.
You like this in the dressing room? I imagine your positivity is probably a big help to your teammates.
Yeah, I think I try and help as best I can. On match days when I'm playing, I'm probably a little bit more focused and quiet. When I'm not playing, I'm trying to be as loud as possible. I don't know why the switch is, but it's just something I've done. But in and around the training ground, I try and give good vibes, good energy. I'm always probably up to something, laughing, joking about, and we've got a good group, and I sometimes might have to get told to rein it in, and I might be stepping over the line, but I'm still only 24, so I hold my hands up if I make a mistake. So, but yeah, like going to training every day with a big smile on your face, and it really has been such a re-energised place this season. It's been so good.
You'll be 10 points clear. Rephrase that. You will be 10 points clear if you win your next 2 games. That's another way of looking at it.
Exactly. Again, without trying to bring everything back to me being the other end of the table, but you prefer to be in the position of having points on the board than playing and trying to chase. We will be 10 points clear by the next time when we play each other. It's a huge psychological difference. But it's in our eyes, it's just clear. We win our games, forget the points, because at the minute we're ahead. So win our games, and we'll be right there with them. And I'm excited thinking about it now. If I could play the games straight after each other, we would. But obviously, that's not possible.
Are you of the view that this is a great season, a great journey, no matter what, or do you try not to think of if we win it or if we don't win it?
I think it's a great season no matter what. Progress is always accepted and good in my eyes. We finished 5th last year. If we finish 1st or 2nd or 3rd, that's progress from last year. And again, we're up against one of the best teams the Premier League have seen over the past few years, who have won 4 or 5 titles in as many years. We're still fighting it out in the Champions League and the FA Cup. We're one of the most dangerous strikers they've produced. So yeah, credit goes to ourselves, and we're still going to be pushing them all the way, and just can't wait, really. I can't wait.
Keep enjoying it. Thanks for your time.
Cheers, Pat.